My name's Tracy Jones, and my story begins when when I was back in Florida. My family and we grew up Catholic, but then we started going to a non-denominational church, and it was a newer church, so they didn't have a lot of stuff for teenagers to do. They really didn't have a formal type of program for teenagers. So we just kind of flitted about the church, most of the time, not really learning a whole lot about Jesus. I always knew that Jesus was there. I always believed that in God and believed in Jesus, but I really didn't understand what it meant to have a relationship with him. Soon after that, I went to college, and the minute I went to college, I realized that my parents and my older sister were not there to keep me reined in, and I kind of went a little crazy. Kind of is putting it mildly. I went very crazy. I really explored. I didn't get too much into drugs or anything like that, but definitely had some relationships that I should not have ever gotten into. I went to church because my family went there and my family's friends were all there, so that's why I went, but I didn't really know what it meant to own my relationship. I met a guy, we started dating, we lived together for 5 years, and again, I talked to him about God. I talked to him about going to church. And the funny thing is I really didn't know what it meant to have a true relationship with Jesus. Part of my story is that during that time when I was with this man, I became pregnant. And I had an abortion. And the interesting thing is when I got pregnant, it was so readily available to get an abortion. I mean, just everywhere you look, there was somebody who was willing to do that. And in my mind, and I know it was Satan telling me, once you have that abortion, you won't think about it ever again. It will be done, forgotten, and then you can move on with your life. And that is just so far from the truth. It just doesn't happen that way. There are still days when I think, oh, if I had a boy or a girl, it would have been this old right now. And you do think about that. I did not tell anybody about my abortion for years and years. I felt very ashamed by it. And that's the hook. Satan calls you in and tells you do this and it's going to be great and you're not going to have to worry about it and no one will know. And then once you do it, he spends the rest of your life shaming you and making you feel like, you're a horrible person for doing this. And I did. And I didn't tell anybody for years. Finally, several years back, I did tell my family and told my friends. I acknowledged it, but even then, I really don't feel like I had really worked through forgiving myself for it. I worked through telling people about it. I worked a little bit through the shame of it, but I hadn't forgiven myself for it. And really, it wasn't until Rooted that I worked through forgiving myself. Part of Rooted is, one of the chapters is on strongholds. And I had been praying the whole week before, God, what's my stronghold? What's my stronghold? And nothing was really coming up. My relationship with God was closer than ever, but I just couldn't figure out what my stronghold was. And that night, they separate the men and the women. We go into separate rooms, and at different times, each woman was saying, this is my stronghold, this is what I'm working on. And I'm still sitting there thinking, I don't know what my stronghold is. And then I got to me, and they're like, what, Tracy, how are you? And I'm like, well, I guess maybe my stronghold is I still have a tough time trusting God. And then through Christina, who was our leader, she started asking pointed questions. And through those pointed questions, I realized I didn't trust God because I hadn't forgiven me. And in my mind, I thought, how in the world could God truly love me? I thought he loved me the way you're supposed to because he's supposed to. He's God and he's supposed to love everybody. But I kind of felt like it was one of those, yeah, okay, I love you kind of thing. Because in my mind, how could anybody love someone who had done what I had done? So it was a really, really tough thing. And what I experienced that night, number one, was complete and utter grace of these women who just immediately got up and surrounded me and laid hands on me and loved me through the process. My leader, who walked me through, literally step by step, walked me through what God was thinking. It was hard, and I cried harder than I think I've ever had in my life. Putting your worth in anything of this world is a recipe for disaster. If you do not put your worth in God, you'll crumble. You'll just crumble. So I have to. I have to every day wake up and acknowledge that it is because of him that I am who I am, and that I can do anything good that I'm able to do each day. For me, coming to Heritage, I discovered a group of people that wanted a relationship with Christ that was as deep as the relationship I wanted with Christ. At the end of the day, I feel free. I guess that would probably be the best word that I would say is free.